Speaking of guests that have been here before, my next guest is in studio with us tonight. The Rose Phantom is here again. Mr. Rose Phantom, how are you, my friend?
Doing very well. I'd like to say hello to everyone listening tonight.
On a snowy, cold night in Salt Lake City.
Oh, yes.
I had the opportunity to meet Ted a couple years ago, and listen to some of his music. He is an amazing musician, an amazing artist is really what he is. He's a songwriter, a photographer, a videographer, painter, performer. You name it, this guy does it. And I find his work fascinating. He's put out several albums. He just put out a new album. We're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to play some of his music here tonight. We don't have to worry about it because we got the artist right here in studio. And if he gives us a thumbs up and says we can play it, we can go ahead and play it. We don't have to worry about any contention with any of big business, of big music business.
2 thumbs up.
Exactly,
tonight.
Exactly. His website is therosephantom.com. It's an adventure to go to the website. I encourage everybody to check it out. How did you get into everything? For the listeners that have never heard about you before, or this is their first time listening, how did you get into everything that you do, Ted, with music and your whole, everything that makes up the Rose Phantom?
It just kind of went in that direction at an early age. And
when did you first start making music? I mean, now all your music, you write it and perform it yourself.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Did you start, I mean, were you that young kid that was, tapping on the pots and pans when he was little, or playing the piano or picking up notes? I mean, I'm a musician myself. I started at the age of 4. And I feel that while I don't have the time to devote to it that I used to, it's a talent. It's kind of I guess let's call it a God-given talent. It's there. For some people, it just exists. And
yeah, the challenge is making money off of it.
Well, exactly.
That's the biggest challenge. I mean, you have the talent, and you do all these things, and the really kind of hard part is making money off it, and
and the money
getting support.
The money that you put into it. I mean,
it's hard to get back.
Right. Exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. You put out albums, and I mean, there's a lot of expense not only in time, but in equipment and putting it all together and all the editing and everything you go through. It's a labor of love. But how old were you when you first started making music and writing sketching, drawing up your own stuff?
Well, I mean, my dad got me a keyboard when I was in, I think, 5th grade, grade 5, I guess. And it all just kind of took off from there. I didn't approach music seriously until I was 17. That's when it kind of hit me seriously. It's like, oh, this is what I want to do. And then from there, just started making music that's keyboard driven. That was my instrument, obviously, was keyboard and synthesizers. So started a project fresh out of high school. It was called Revisualized, and I made 4 albums under that moniker. Which Revisualized, it's a solo, it was just me, but it was all instrumental. That was the thing with Revisualized. Mm-hmm. So it's like, dark wave soundscapes and things like that, and very much almost song structures without lyrics. So a lot of people would hear the Revisualized stuff and wonder, hey, where's the vocals? Since the songs were kind of structured as songs that would, incorporate vocals. So that was it just took me a while to start using my voice.
Put it all together.
But once I did, then I.
Well, and your stuff's amazing, and we're going to get into some of that tonight. But as an organist myself, of course, when I started, I'm in my 50s now, and when I started playing not quite 50 years ago, but There were no synthesizers at that time. I started out with a very simple Hammond drawbar organ. Taught me a lot. There wasn't, I think as a purist, when I first started and all this synth stuff came out, I thought, wow, I was the guy that, I was putting all the fills and I was trying to make it sound like a band, if you will. And then I realized that to get into it at the level that you're into it is 100 times more complex than I was doing it from a programming side. You can play the music, but putting it all together, anyone says, well, that was kind of the old saying way back when, the organs of today or the keyboards of today, you push a button and it makes anybody sound good. And yeah, you can get music out of them, but to do what you do, you've taken it not to the next level, but multiple levels, because again, we're going to hear some of the stuff, but I've listened to a lot of your stuff, and it's, there's a lot of work there. I mean, to get all those pieces to fit together is a lot of, it's a talent in itself. That's a compliment.
Well, thank you. I mean, I did do the band thing for a while. I was in a progressive rock band with my brother. Mm-hmm. We were called Melodramas, and we, it's just, it best suits me to work alone. I've kind of discovered that working alone late at night in a low lit kind of environment, that's where, all the ideas come in that context.
The creativity.
Yeah, it's like, just leave me alone, close the door,
right, and
it will just flow out. I'm almost a vessel. That's how I see myself. I'm a vessel for a higher being, we can say, or energy.
Yeah,
they're working through me to get these melodies out. And sometimes, like on the new EP, the sketches live at Storm Mountain, so sometimes I have to go to certain locations. Like I was saying with this new EP, I had to actually go to the Storm Mountain Amphitheater, which is located here in Salt Lake City in the one of our amazing canyons, Big Cottonwood Canyon. Just absolutely
beautiful,
breathtaking,
yeah,
and
right,
fill in the blank on that one. So sometimes I'm guided to go to these actual locations, and then, what was it, 8 years ago? 6 or 8 years, I can't remember. I released an album that I recorded in the opposite direction of Big Cottonwood Canyon. It's Butterfield Canyon.
Gotcha.
I recorded an album there too. So live on location, making the music, because that's where the spirit resides that is using me. It's hard to explain, but
does it inspire you or does it drive you?
It drives me.
Okay.
Because I get it's the feeling that comes, and then if I apply this music to the actual setting where the energy is coming from, that's the ultimate right there. It's kind of marrying those two worlds.
All right, everybody. Fringe Radio. We're back tonight with the Rose Phantom. I want to thank you both for taking the time to come by tonight, Ted,
and the Rose Phantom.
Well, not Ted and the Rose Phantom, but you are the Rose Phantom and your film crew here.
Yes.
Thank you for coming out on a snowy night.
Well, a lot of people don't know that that I am the Rose Phantom. They think Ted, which is me, is separate. Like the Rose Phantom's a different guy, which that'd be kind of cool to get people to think that. But unfortunately, it's just me.
Well, no, it's not just you. Again, by your work, it's amazing stuff. And we're going to talk about your new album first, and we're going to play some stuff off there. And some people are saying, maybe sitting there saying, well, wait a minute, Fringe Radio is about paranormal stuff and all these other different things. And we're going to get into all that too, because this is going to be a little segue. You're working on an unbelievable project, and we're going to get into that in the next hour of the show, plus more of your music. But we were talking on the break here just for a little bit. Let's go into your new album. It is called
It's called Sketches, live at Storm Mountain, released under the Rose Phantom moniker. And so it's a 5-track EP that was recorded live at the Storm Mountain Amphitheater at Big Cottonwood Canyon here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
And it is a breathtaking place. It is.
Oh yeah, just the location is, that's actually what inspired a lot of it. I was hiking around that area, and then I stumbled upon the amphitheater, the Storm Mountain Amphitheater, and it just hit me. I had about 5 songs that I've written a year prior, and then the mood of those songs was the mood of this location. So it just seemed right to record it there.
We talked about the inspiration. Do you think that you mentioned that you wrote these songs a while ago, and obviously they sat in the corner or whatever? Did you figure it was just a matter of timing? It had to be the right time, the right place, the right mood to pull the trigger, and when you found that venue, that was it? It all kind of connected for you?
Yeah, so I wrote these 5 songs in the winter of 2013, so just last winter, and they all had a kind of link. They were all very, as if there was a concept to it. They all felt very much the same mood. The mood wasn't really changing. So once they were written, they weren't recorded. They were just, I'd play them on the piano, and there you have it. There's the song. It's written. But I wanted to record these songs, but I didn't want to go back into a studio environment. I wanted to maybe go somewhere and record them live in a place, because I've done that before, and the results were great. So it's like, I think these songs should be approached in that way too. So once I found that venue, that was it. It was like, oh, this is it. This is where these 5 songs should be recorded, at this at Storm Mountain Amphitheater, to an audience of no one, of course. Mm-hmm. This isn't
just you,
just me and my 2 backup singers, Luna and Sol. They did some backup vocals and also additional keyboards, and then the film crew, and that's it. But it's for an audience of no one, very much like the idea of, and I've mentioned this before about some of my other works, but very much like the idea of Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii, where it's not in front of an audience, it's just in front of kind of the film crew. And basically it's just to kind of absorb, if I can use that word here, the energy of the location. Let it, because the songs were written, but in order to perform them and capture that in a recording, I would want to put myself in a location where it could flow through me, and it would be its purest form, I want to say.
Gotcha.
So that's why, yeah, I just...
Well, how about we'll play a track off this? Let's play track number 1, and it is...
Yeah, we'll play Sketch 1, It's Differences and Heart Attacks. And, yeah, this is one of my personal favorites.
This is the album is entitled Sketches Live at Storm Mountain, the Rose Phantom. Check it out. Give a listen.
And all your rivers have run dry for you tonight. I'll hold you in my arms, alright. But it's not alright. It's not alright to love you tonight. It's not alright, but it's not alright to love you tonight.
Rose Phantom here on Fringe Radio. Amazing stuff, Ted. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that's all live. I have to keep reminding people that. That's why it sounds very raw, and it almost comes across more personal, a little more. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff was. I got that out pretty quick, actually.
No, I mean that's it's. It's soothing, I think. I mean, it's
Yeah, the entire disc.
the song. The name of the
is-
song is. You'd figure it wouldn't be soothing, but
Differences in heart attacks. Yeah, the lyrics maybe don't reside on the relaxing and kind of happy side, but it's very soothing to sing about that kind of stuff too.
well, it's life.
Exactly, it's life, and usually it's more realistic when it's heartbroken.
Right.
At least that's just how I like my music.
It's like country music, isn't it?
I guess there's,
90% of it?
I'm a little bit country, I'm a little bit rock and roll.
Right. Right.
Um,
Where can we're going to talk about this a lot tonight? Where can our listeners, especially our international listeners that are listening to us on Global 24 on WRMI, where can they buy this, or where can they get this album?
This is available worldwide,
Okay.
so there's no excuse not to buy it. you can yeah. I'd like to make some of the money back, but I'm not going to put that on your listeners. But you can if you prefer digital download, you have iTunes, Amazon MP3, Bandcamp.com, pretty much everywhere you can think of to get digital downloads. And also, if you want a physical CD, this is a limited run CD this time. Great places to get that, cdbaby.com.
Any local music stores carrying your stuff?
Yeah, we're, Gray Whale CD.
Okay, so local people can go get it.
That's probably, yeah. And there's a hair salon that's carrying my music, Hair Studio 48 in Murray.
Cool. So get a haircut.
You can go
and
get
CD.
You can go get a haircut by my wonderful mother. Yeah, and she'll sell you
a CD.
any of my albums. So it's kind of funny. Next to the shampoos and conditioners, the products on the shelf.
There's
that she's selling-
L'Oreal, and then there's
there's the Rose Phantom. This is great for when you shampoo your hair. It's very relaxing. So locally, that's it right now. But anywhere, if you have a computer, you could obviously order the CD. Like I said, cdbaby.com or Amazon.com. iTunes doesn't carry physical CDs, so yeah. But you can get the digital download there and anywhere else I've mentioned.
Gotcha.
So, or the rosephantom.com as well. So anywhere, like I said, there's no excuse not to buy it because I've made it available in all the major distributing stores.
Right. We're talking about inspiration. Ufologist, and I don't know if I know you've got a busy life with a lot going on. Several months back, ufologist Grant Cameron, who we've had on the show several times, came through Salt Lake. He came through back in February, and we had him in the studio here for several hours. And I know we're talking about music now, we're going into ufology, but where I'm going with this is that through his research as a ufologist from 1975 on, he now is retired, he does it full time. He's done a lot of research looking into musicians that have been inspired by outside forces. He feels that there's a lot of big name groups, the Beatles, a couple of their Stairway, not the Beatles, but the song Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin. A lot of these songs were inspired in a dream, and not necessarily a drug-induced dream by any means.
Most of the time. If you're talking about Pink Floyd.
Right. But they were talking. But in doing his research, a lot of these major music people have now come forward because they're at an age in their life where they're people have judged them one way or another, and have stated that this song was inspired by an event that happened. I believe the Beatles, one of their songs, I think it might have been off the Sgt. Pepper album, I don't know, was inspired by what they claimed to be a light that appeared in the middle of the night in the room, and this music was somehow transcended to them, if you will, at night.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, Grant Cameron. If you listen to the interview, very, very interesting. But about some of these, Sammy Hagar is another person who believes in UFOs and ufology.
I know he believes that you can't drive 55.
Right, that's true.
All right.
but if you dig down deep into some of these guys, I mean, a lot of them have had what they consider, maybe call it out of this world experiences that inspired them in some way, shape, or form. Guest tonight in studio, Ted Newsom. The Rose Phantom, thank you for taking time on this wintry, blizzardy night to come down here and talk with us and spend time with us. It's an honor to have you here, as always.
Thank you for having me once again.
We were talking about, again, as a musician, all the, entertainment, because that's what this is all really about, and I can, we were talking on the break a little bit about how much time and effort a person can put in, and I'm sure there's a lot of musicians listening out. There's a lot of people out there that are listening that have really worked hard at things, and it's sadly a world today of not what you know necessarily, but who you know, and how it is tough to break into the business. You're in the business. I'm in the business of, and to break out into that next step is just it's hard, but you got to just keep pushing no matter what. And your work, it's too good to. On a positive note, to stop any of that. So, I'll write you a check. Just keep making music. No, I don't have the money to give you, but you have to say.
I'll just keep making music for you.
Sure. No, but it's tough, and when you put your heart and soul into stuff, and this, what you've got is just amazing. And that's why I want our listeners to purchase your CD, purchase your stuff, especially our new international listeners that are just tuning into Fringe Radio. We've been on Global 24 now this is our second week. It's an honor for us to be there doing the show, but we know that there are so many different people hearing, and there's so many different tastes abroad. What you're doing is a little different. You turn on the top 40 stations. I'm so sick of hearing Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift's "Shake It Off" and all this other stuff that's out there.
That's.
How do they release a bad album, Ted? They don't. It doesn't. It's like Britney Spears. No matter how bad it is, it's going to go through.
Well, that's just the stuff that's being spoon-fed to the people, and they're just eating it all up. They're being dumbed. I've mentioned it before. People are being dumbed down these days with their technology, and it's all part of the big plan. We all know this. And the independent small guys like myself who've been, lack of a better term, struggling as starving artists.
Yeah.
We're drowning underneath the sea of mediocrity, and it's so hard to penetrate through that because there's, for one thing, a lot of, everyone's making music these days.
Right.
It's not just the top 40 people. It's everyone and their dog. Everyone in the neighborhood you live in, probably, on their computer, and that's great and everything. And there's some good stuff that can come out of that. But not everyone should be able to make music because they're just kind of adding to the noise.
Right.
Of the world, and making it harder for people like myself who've put in the time and kind of paid the dues in a lot of different ways, making it harder for people like me to be heard because they're just adding to the mediocrity. So it's kind of like you're not going to penetrate through that because there's so much of it. So you're just kind of sinking underneath it. And only there's, your small little cult following that kind of keeps you hopeful, at least for me. And most of them are in Europe, I will say. And so do you have some listeners in Europe, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Germany, we got
Germany,
so many emails,
Germany, yeah.
We got so many emails from people overseas after the show last weekend. Hopefully we'll get more of those people that tuned in and are listening to us up and down the East Coast, but down in the Caribbean and over in the European countries.
Well,
one big array, one big station that's
awesome.
radiating that direction right now. So your music is being radiated that way.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about shortwave radio and independent radio. And I've said this so many times, I get on my soapbox once again because you're here. What we're able to do here is very different than you're going to be able to do when we talked about some of these other radio stations in town. They've got Big Brother that's telling them what to play, what to say, how to say it, when to say it. Independent radio, international shortwave radio, that's what it's about. It's the independent voice, and we can talk about stuff like that. We can play music of any sort within FCC guidelines, of course. But it's different. We're different than everybody else, and there are people that are wanting different.
We'll call them the real people.
The real people.
And that's not to
No, that's true.
Just in the way that some of like you're mentioning, these other stations have kind of the Big Brother thing. You're going to play this because this is what the people want.
Or that's what you're paid to play.
Yeah. Or
right.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about money. So it's kind of a risk to listen to underground radio because it's not as popular. And I think a lot of people get hung up on that, where they almost need to be told and they almost need to see that this is popular. Okay, it has this many likes on Facebook. Okay, I can like it. I can get into this because it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a just a screwed up approach, if I can say that.
It is. No, you're right.
I couldn't find a
but you've got
nicer word.
But you've got to continue to press forward, and you don't need to press forward because you've already got it down. You've already got it down. You've laid the tracks down. You know what you're doing. And I want to see you continue to see you move forward. I'm going to reach out to a good friend of mine who has helped me bring on guests on this show, and he knows who he is, and he's listening right now to maybe see if we can get a little bit of help. He's a musician himself of many years. A lot of musicians listen to us, and we'll see if we can get it out. But again, what you've got is just amazing. Let's go ahead and play another track off of Sketches live at Storm Mountain. Sketch 2, My Love Takes Me Home. Is that a good one to play?
Yeah, we can play this one. This one, it's nice, kind of jams out at the end. Just kind of free improv style of stuff going on at the end of the track, which is very enjoyable. It's, I guess those Pink Floyd fans will like this one.
All right, sounds good. Sketches live at Storm Mountain. Sketch 2, The Rose Phantom. Take a listen.
And Pink.
So
All right, everybody. The Rose Phantom, not only live on the air here, but live in studio. Again, Ted, thank you so much for stopping by and visiting. And we've got NBC News coming up here in just a little bit. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to get back and play more music, and then talk about your other project. But the couple people were commenting here on Inception Radio that you sound just like David Bowie. I heard Tears for Fears. Some of the groups out of the not too distant past.
Yeah, I mean,
got a great voice, and like I said, you can understand everything you're saying.
That's quite the compliment. Like those were artists that I was listening to in my development years, when I was first discovering the keyboard and stuff. I was listening to artists like Depeche Mode heavily. That's kind of, I guess I could say I owe it to them, really. They're kind of the reason why I picked up the keyboard in the first place. Seriously, when I was about 17, I basically wanted to be in Depeche Mode. I was absolutely obsessed with them.
Now, on your website, don't you have some of your early albums on there? Your early videos on there? I think I found a link to it. Was that where they were at, or was it on YouTube?
My website will link you to YouTube.
Well, yeah.
So it has pretty much everything I've ever done, musically and in the video world. You can find on my website, which I've done, over 50 music videos.
At therosephantom.com.
Yeah.